In this video, we'll be showing you in great detail how to install this third brake light from Freedom Outfitters on an FJ Cruiser. Modifying a Toyota for adventure travel? Looking for tips on camping, off-roading, or overlanding? Maybe we can help.
One of the many cool things about it, this light has some options. The brake lights, not one of them. You have to have those. But you could use, with the additional lenses, you could use all four as brake lights. That would really get people's attention. Or the two center lights could be used as reverse lights, working when you put your shifter into reverse or going on by a switch on the dash. Or you can use them as chase lights with the amber lenses coming on with the switch on the dash. There's also the option of a rear camera for those of us who have an FJ that didn't come with one.
First thing we need to do is get the old one out, put the new one in, and then we'll show you how to run the wires. We get asked all the time if we have a video on how we made this net. Unfortunately, we didn't make a video. It's just some webbing and rivets put together, and it protects our dogs from jumping out. We need to pry this plastic piece off that covers up the back of the light.
Okay folks, you're probably going to break some of these cheap plastic clips, but you can easily buy replacements.
Then we unplug the light. You just push in here and pull like that. The light's being held on with two 10mm bolts here and here. And you just have to release this wiring harness clip right here. Pop the OEM brake light out.
Now before we put the new light on, we need to configure the wires the way we want them in the back, depending on what we want these center lights to be used for. We also need to put the camera on the top. So here is the back side of the assembly, and here are all the wires coming out of the lights. We want to use these two center ones here, and what we're going to do is use these connectors that Freedom sends along with the ends already crimped on them. And we're going to tie into the two positive wires of those two center lights. They'll use the same common ground as the others. Now because these lights draw very, very little amperage, one ground for all four should be fine. All you do is just simply unplug, put one of our stubby wires on there, and these are some really nice bullet connectors that Freedom uses. Unplug that one, unplug this one, plug a wire onto that. Then we'll take those two positive wires, give them a little twist, and then these are some connectors that Freedom sends off. You take these two wires, put it in the big end of the connector, and then Freedom also sends a bunch of wire to go down through the door and up to the dash. You put that in the smaller end of the connector. Then we'll heat this up with a heat gun, and that will melt this little bit of solder right here. And this is shrink tubing with an adhesive in it, and that will make that a really nice waterproof connection. Now I need to mount that camera on top. Freedom sends along a little strip of weather stripping. It's self-adhesive, so I cut that to seal that, make it nice and waterproof. Next, I take out these bolts from the plate that's on here if you don't have the camera. So we'll take that out. That's the little seal that sealed it, made it waterproof. Thread the wire through. And then using those same bolts, we'll bolt it to the top. So we are all set, we can go and bolt this in.
We need to feed these extra wires down through this hole. Now we plug in the brake light. And using the same bolts as the OEM light, we just tighten it back up. Now, if you were just going to use these 4 lights as brake lights, you'd be done already.
But we're not. We still need to run these 2 wires all the way up to the dash. We're going to show you how to do that right now. So the way the wires have to be run is this way, and then through here, down through the door, down to this little rubber grommet and this rubber piece going into the cabin, and then through here, all the way up to the dash. To make it easy to run that wire, we're going to take this back door panel off. Now you likely don't have a fold down table from Orange Box Fab like this one here, but the panel comes off pretty much the same way. First thing we do, make sure that the window is open. It is. Then you're going to have 2 bolts, and they're going to be hidden behind a couple of little plastic plugs on your back hatch panel. You take those bolts out. Yeah, this fold down table uses the same 2 bolts here that hold your panel on. Then you're going to see these 2 little covers here where your struts come down. You need to take a little tool or a screwdriver and pop them out, 1 on each side. Now we can take this entire panel off. After we take these 2 bolts out, all that's holding it on are those little plastic clips. To release them, start at the bottom, take your pry tool, get behind that panel, and just start prying it out, starting at the bottom. But now I'm going to need Mary's help with ours because this moly panel is steel and it's kind of heavy. So just pry it out at the bottom, and then, whoops, I forgot, I have to let the net down. There we go. And then just kind of pick up, and it's off. Now, the red wire is really easy to feed through because there's no end on it. We can go from here all the way through. But for the camera, it has a nice little end on it here, but that's very short. And the other end for the camera is this big plug. And this big plug is not going to go through here and up through here very easily. So, red wire will send down this way and into the cab. The camera wire, we're going to go from the cab up through here. Now it's going to be really hard to come in from the inside of the cabin and push this through here. We're going to need to take it off right here using our pry tool again. Get behind everything and just carefully pry that plug out of there. And this wire here, this is for our CB antenna. So now we can get this camera wire through that hole in the body and then feed it down through here. It's not going to be easy, but it has to be done. Now, if you're having a lot of trouble getting that plug through here, like we are right now, just take a piece of soft bendable wire and feed it up through there. And what we'll do is we'll hook that camera wire to this soft wire and pull it the rest of the way through. So I got that wire taped to the brass wire here. Now we can pull that through with any luck. All right, folks, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That was a huge pain in the butt to get this big plug through that rubber piece. Now I need to get that camera wire up through the door and plugged into this end, and I need to send this wire for our amber center lights to go down through the door and up to the front. To do that, I need to take this part of the wiring harness, this plug, this rubber conduit, off of there, send a piece of soft wire down this hole, hook it onto that camera wire, and pull it up. This wire is much easier to get up through the door and through here. Now we need to get the other end of that camera cord or camera cable and plug it in here. To do that, we want to run this wire through this piece of rubber conduit here. To do that, right here there's a couple of clips that hold it into a holder. You just carefully pry those up to release it. There it is. Now we're going to poke a little hole right here in the rubber and send this piece all the way through there. While we're at it, we're also going to pull that red power wire for our lights through there. These pieces of rubber conduit, they look like there's a lot of space in there. They're really loose, but there isn't. Now that it's through, I can take and plug in these camera cables. I am going to take some electrical tape and tape these to make damn sure they don't come apart. Now that plug for the camera, that's going to actually be down inside the door. Now we can run the power cable going to our middle lights. And this will get some zip ties and zip tie that up nice. I'm going to first see if I can take this power wire and just send it down the door without using that brass wire. So it turns out I did have to fish some brass wire down through there and tape our power wire to it, but that was easy. Heck of a lot easier than that camera cable. Okay, now we need to get the power wire through into the cab. Oh, this is the positive and negative power to the camera. I've got that tied off so it wouldn't accidentally get shoved down in here. Now if I can get this through. There it is right there though. Woohoo! All right. Okay, running the wires through here, up to here, is the hardest thing to do in this project. That's over with, thank God. Now it's easy peasy running the wires up to the dash. First, I'm going to button all this stuff up, put all these grommets back in, put the panel back on the back, and see you in a little bit. If you were going to run those center lights as a reverse light that comes on when you put it into reverse, you got it easy, because all you need to do is take this red wire coming from the light and tie into your reverse lights right behind this little panel right here. Just pry off this panel, take your red wire, feed it up from below. Where are you? Where are you, red wire? Where are you, red wire? Now you need to get your big old paw up in there to the reverse light. Give it a twist and pull it out where you can get to it. So now you can get to those wires. What you need to do is you need to tie your red wire into this red and yellow wire using one of these T-splice connectors that Freedom sends. Since we're going to have ours on a switch, we need to run this single red wire up behind the dash. Now, as far as the camera equipment, the big cable and then the positive and negative for it, we have no idea what we're going to use for a monitor or a unit up on the dash. So this is going to just stay back here for now. But if we were to run that up to the front, we would run it exactly the same as you're about to see us run this one. Now, Freedom does not give you extra wire to run all the way up to the dash. Understandable. So you'll need to go and get yourself some wire. A simple butt connection right here is all you need. Then run that wire behind this panel down by the seat, I guess that would be the seat hinge down here. Then go ahead, put the seat back up, but the seat forward so you can get in there. And I know you can't see it with the camera angle I've got, but you can pull that wire and then sneak it behind the side panel here. And it comes out right down here. To get these off, you just simply pry the sill plates off, really easy. Yeah, and then just run it up here. You do have to take the side kick panel off. To do that, you have to take off that footrest, which will probably never go back on right, but it is what it is. And then you can run your wire over to your switch. Now, for switches. There are so many different switches out there. I'm not going to go into any detail on how to wire up a certain one. You can have anything from a simple toggle switch mounted someplace. We prefer to have switches like this. These are designed to fit right in the same OEM spots on the dash, and they work great. They're from a company called CH4x4. I'll put a link to them down in the video description. So, the million-dollar question, how well do they work? Let's find out.
I really like this. And once we get that camera hooked up, that's really going to come in handy too.
That's going to be nice. We'll actually be able to see behind when we're driving an FJ Cruiser. Now, we put a link to the light down in the video description and a link to that switch that I showed you earlier.
If you found this video helpful, hit that like button. And we hope you'll consider subscribing.
Thanks for watching.